Hello and welcome to Belovsky Science. Today is October I think today is the 20th. Pretty sure today is the 20th. Yes, today is October the 20th. Still at home at in the study on my Corona vacation here. Except it's not really a vacation. It's not fun at all. I'd much rather be in the classroom teaching, but seeing how I've got to be here, and of course, I don't have the coronavirus. I feel great. I'm looking outside the window right now. I could open up the window right here and oh, it's just absolutely a beautiful day. Just a few clouds in the sky. Yeah, I've got a window right here in front of me. So anyway, let's get to the business at hand. Today is the 20th, of course, and we're continuing our chapter 2, lesson 2. Or actually, this is lesson 1. So I need to make that change right there before this goes out to everybody. But this is part 2 of this lesson 1. So anyway, what we're going to talk today about is we're going to talk about, basically yesterday we talked about the microscope and we talked about the cell theory and we talked about the guys that created the cell theory. And today we're going to talk about, okay, so what is in the cell? The scientists realized, okay, we've got this cell, and then microscopes started getting better and better and better, and the scientists were like, what is in the cell? What's this stuff that's in the cell? So it's basically what we're going to talk about today. You need to make sure that you're staying on top of your work. Something that is greatly disappointing to me is that we did all those virtual days last week, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Had lots of people join in and had about half of the people do the work, which just blows my mind. Well, what it tells me is that some people, either one of a couple of things, don't take their schooling serious. They're not taking it seriously. Or your mom and dad doesn't follow up with what you do on class. And what's going to be bad is if you fail the class, mom and dad coming, asking me why did you fail my class, when if they would have been keeping up with you all along, they would know exactly what's going on. So at some point or another, it's going to catch up with you. You need to stay on top of your work. And right now we've been working on this chapter 2, lesson 1 review sheet. And tomorrow we're going to finish it. You're going to start working on numbers 23 and on today, and it's going to be turned in by Friday, by 3:30. So it's got to be completed. All right. So where do we need to go? All right. Well, you've done your warm up. You know to do your warm up. Here's that old warm up right here. Okay. Why is it not coming up? There it is. All right, so the 3 men that helped create the cell theory, you should be able to easily find that. All right, now right here is the I'm just making the video. And this right here is the review sheet. We'll come back to that. All right, so where you need to go is we need to let's see here. Let me create a place where I can show you a textbook so that I can show you some of these words as we go over it. I thought that I had a place for it, but it just hit me that I did not. So I thought that I had the book already pulled up. And instead of starting this video over with, I'm just going to quickly pull one out right here. Sorry for the wait. With all these tabs open up on these poor little Chromebooks, it's all they can do to try to keep up with what I'm doing. All right. This right here is what we are working on, and I got to get the textbook up here. And I think that I just hit the wrong. Yep. I need this right here. All right, now we can start. So, when we left off yesterday, we had talked about um, this right here. Talked about Hook and Hook and making the microscope and naming the things that he found inside living things cells. Uh, and we also talked about the cell theory yesterday. And we talked about macromolecules and water. Now, today, here's where we're going to pick up. And basically, today, what you need to know is we're going to talk about macromolecules. And what macromolecules are these things right here. This right here is a protein molecule, and each one of these individual round things that you see in here, basically what you're looking at is molecules. Now, these molecules group together, and just like right here, this right here is a water molecule, and here's another water molecule. And what happens is these molecules start gathering together, and this becomes what is called then a macromolecule. Macromolecule is a bunch of molecules that are grouped together, and this one right here that you're looking at, by the way, just to let you know, is a protein molecule. Thought you might like to know that. Anyway, so if we go back to the page right here, basically what this is telling you is that water is essential for life, and that without water we could not function properly. And then micromolecules and are these things right here. And this right here is a cross section of a bacteria cell. And macromolecules are proteins, nucleic acids, lipids, and carbohydrates. And you can see here where it's pointing to in the book, showing you, where these things are located. For example, nucleic acids, you'll notice this is a cross section looking into the bacteria. Well, this right here is the nucleic acid, this orange stuff right here towards the center. Lipids is the pink stuff around the outer boundary here. The proteins are help with the outer part of the cell along with carbohydrates. So all of these are macromolecules. So what exactly do they do? Okay, well, that's exactly what we're going to break down right now. As we scroll down a little bit, you're going to see the word here, nucleic acids. So let's pick us out a color here, and let's highlight nucleic acids. All right, and nucleic acids are macromolecules that form when long chains of molecules called nucleotides join together. So exactly what is a nucleic acid? Okay, well, you need to write this definition first, so hit pause. Okay, so you just got through writing down what a nucleic acid is. Well, there's two really famous nucleic acids, and one of them is called DNA, and one of them is called RNA. Now, you're very familiar with DNA. DNA is what makes up everything that we are. It doesn't matter if you have brown hair, graying hair like me, your height, your eye color, all of that is indicated or is in your DNA. DNA is what you get from your mom and dad. You get parts of your DNA from mom, from dad. And what it does is it determines what makes you who you are. For example, my gray hair comes definitely from my mother. So I got this in my DNA from my mother. My mother's side of the family, they grayed very, very, very early in life. And I was starting to turn gray 20 years ago when I was in my 30s. So most definitely graying hair is in your DNA. If you have a good attitude, if you have a bad temper, if you have big hands, if you have big feet, if you've got a little nose, if you've got wide ears, everything that makes you who you are is determined by your DNA. Well, your DNA is nucleic acid, and it's made up of these things that are called nucleotides, and these nucleotides run up the middle of your DNA. Now, if you'll look at this, it looks like a ladder that's been twisted. All right. Well, the rungs in the ladder are called nucleotides, and we'll study more about that later on. But it's these nucleotides that make combinations that determine certain things about you, like we just got through talking about eye color, hair color, so on and so forth. All right. So now RNA is a little bit different. RNA, you'll notice, only has the one strand running down the side. The other side is open. And the reason is because this helps with DNA replication, which we'll talk about later on. But what RNA's job is to help DNA to make a copy of itself. And RNA also makes proteins. So one of the things that you need to know is what is the differences between DNA and RNA. All right, well, this picture right here will help to show you that. DNA right here has the double strands in it, okay? And if you'll remember, you'll see the two sides of the ladder here. All right. The RNA has one strand, and that is this single side that runs down. And that is so that it can join right here on these things right here, joins with other nucleotides, which we'll talk about later on. So if you will once again hear at some point or another, what is the difference between DNA and RNA? DNA is double-stranded. RNA is single-stranded. Now, there's one other thing I do want to show you, and these are the nucleotides that are joined here in the middle. For example, red, you can see red right there. You can see blue touches the red right up there. This is adenine, and this is thymine. And the yellow right here is cytosine, and this is guanine. And you can see these chemicals running down the side right here. Don't get caught up in thinking, oh my, this is way too technical. No. All I want you to know right now is these are the chemicals that makes up DNA. Well, these are the chemicals right here that makes up RNA. Now, here's the deal. You'll notice that one of them is different. Both DNA and RNA have adenine. Both DNA and RNA have guanine. Both DNA and RNA have cytosine, which is this yellow right here. All right, now down here at the bottom is where it's different. RNA has what's called uracil, and DNA has what's called thymine in it, okay? RNA cannot carry thymine, and we'll go into all that later on. But anyway, uracil and thymine are the two different chemicals that you can find in DNA and RNA. So that's another way to tell the two apart. DNA is double-stranded. DNA has thymine. RNA has uracil. And we'll talk more about that later on. All right. So what I keep sneaking a peek at over here is I have a textbook sitting here next to me. I guess I could put it up here on the desk so I could take a look at it. I'm just wanting to make sure that I'm hitting all the highlights. Your DNA helps with growth, cell growth. It also tells the cell when it needs to do certain processes like, hey, we need to find some oxygen. Hey, we need to find some water. Hey, we need to burn some energy. Hey, we need to make chemicals so that growth can take place. So those are things that take place with DNA, and RNA helps to make proteins, and RNA helps DNA to make copies of itself. So, all right. Now, if we go to the next page here, whoops, went just a wee little bit too far. All right, this next page right here has proteins, lipids, and carbohydrates in it, like you can see right here. Now, You might think to yourself, hey, we've already studied that. We studied that when we were studying food and the digestive system and nutrition. And you are correct. Basically, I was telling you that proteins, lipids, carbohydrates, and vitamins and minerals and water is all important for a healthy body. Okay, so why are they so important? Well, they're inside your cells. You have to have these things to have healthy cells. So these are the things, proteins, lipids, and carbohydrates are the things that make up some of the things that make up the macromolecules. So here, let's take a look real quick at proteins. Let's pick us a different color here. Let's go for green. All right, so what do we need to write down for proteins? Proteins are long chains of amino acid molecules. Okay, proteins are long chains of amino acid molecules, and basically, hit pause so that you can write it down. Hit pause. All right. So what proteins do is they help with creating certain structures inside of cells. There's hundreds of different types of proteins insides of cells, and they help the cell to do all these different kind of jobs. Like it tells it to how to communicate with other cells, transporting things around inside of the cell. It helps you to break down nutrients as you eat. It helps, and as you get different things into your body, it's broken down and sent to the cells within your cells, breaks it down even more, and it helps to provide structural support for the cell. Protein kind of creates like it's kind of like your skeleton. Your skeleton holds your body up and it supports your body. Well, the cytoskeleton is made of protein, and it basically supports the cell and helps to hold it up as well. So, all right, another thing here is, whoops, need to erase that. All right, let's go to the pointer. Now, let's try this again. All right, let's talk about lipids. Oh, I forgot to say one thing. Where do you remember where we get proteins? Here's an idea of where we get proteins. We get proteins from meats, beans, nuts, eggs, cream, as you can see here. If it's meat, it's got protein in it. All right, so now let's go back to lipids. All right, what are lipids? Okay, well, let's pick a different color here. Let's go with light blue. All right, so what are lipids? A lipid is a large macromolecule, that does not dissolve in water. Okay, so lipids do not dissolve in water. Hit pause. Okay, what does a lipid do? Well, a lipid is very important for creative protective barriers for your cells. What they do is your cells are constantly surrounded by water. Well, if you'll remember what we just got through talking about yesterday, water helps to break things down. It's a great solvent. And so if your cell broke down in water, you would break down and you would become just a big old puddle of water, which would not be good. So what happens is the outer part of your cell is created, which is called the cell membrane, is created by lipids. And the lipids are not disturbed. They do not break down in water. And so they repel water, in fact. Now, they have pores in them, and they can allow water to come in when it's needed, but that water cannot break down the cell. So that is very important. There are 3 types of lipids that are listed down here. I mean, you don't have to write these, but there's cholesterol, which, there's good cholesterol and bad cholesterol. The bad cholesterol can cause you to have heart disease and other artery diseases. Phospholipids, and there's a type of lipid that is called vitamin A. And vitamin A, if you'll remember, vitamins are very important for healthy body functions. And so it's important that you get those into your system. All right. And another thing that we And here, let's take a look at where you get lipids. You can get lipids here from fatty meats, which includes fish, cheese, butter. Yeah, look right here. Ooh, chocolate. Yeah, nuts, seeds, avocado. Anything that's got animal fat in it. Ice cream. Yeah, French fries, pizza, lots of high fat there. So, and the problem is that we don't need that much fat. We need very little of the lipid in order to make cells with. So, but unfortunately, lipids have a lot of taste, and we like to eat it a lot. So, and it's what causes us to get oversized, kind of like old Coach Wolofsky here. Anyway, so that's what lipids are. Lipids are they're good for cell production, protective barriers around cells, but we don't need that much of it. And let's move on here to carbohydrates now. All right, textbook, please. All right, and let's pick out a different color. And let's go to purple. Yes, purple, carbohydrates right here. And the definition for carbohydrates is 1 sugar molecule, 2 sugar molecules, or a long chain of sugar molecules make up carbohydrates. All right, hit pause and type that in. Okay, so what are carbohydrates? All right, hopefully you remember where you get carbohydrates. Here, let's take a look at that real quick. Here's carbohydrates right here. Here, let me show this picture first. You can get carbohydrates, bread, pasta, potatoes, corn, honey, fruit, pretzels, proteins. Carbohydrates, they carry a lot of energy. So it's what helps you to create glucose. Here's another picture, and here it shows you lots of fruits: grapefruit, apple, blueberries, strawberries, cranberries, kiwi. There's pears down here, and oh my gosh, Brussels sprouts. Nasty stuff. Okra right up here. Good stuff. All right, all of this stuff is full of carbohydrates, which is what your body burns for energy. Now, the two types of carbohydrates that store energy are sugar and starches. And one of the several of the places that you get plenty of is what we just said: plenty of carbohydrates, breads, pastas, and fruits. Those are places that you get lots of carbohydrates. And another reason why you need carbohydrate is because it helps to keep you regular. Yeah, when you go number 2 to the potty, cellulose is quite often found in carbohydrates, and cellulose cannot be digested by your body, and it helps to push things on along in your digestive system. And another thing that carbohydrates do is they help your cells kind of do like proteins, and they help to support the cell. So that is the end of this lesson. So what you need to do now is you need to go to your review sheet here, and if you do not have numbers 1 through 22 completed, you need to watch yesterday's video, and it will help you to complete numbers 1 through 22. Okay. Now, for today, what you need to do now is you need to go through numbers 23 through the end, and you need to fill in the definitions. Number 27, nucleic acid. 33, proteins. 36, lipid. 39, carbohydrates. And what you need to do is you need to cut and paste your definitions and put them in there. And remember, your definitions should be down here in these note sections. And then you need to go up here to number 23 and you need to start answering some of these. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say you got to finish every bit of this for homework because tomorrow in class, we're going to go over it with the kids. If you want to finish it now and if you want to turn it in now, hey, that's one less thing that you got to worry about because this thing is due by Friday at 3:30. So if you want to go ahead and finish it now, hey, more power to you. Good for you. Tune in tomorrow and you can just help give answers during class. But that decision is completely up to you. So, and remember that Friday is the deadline. I am starting to strictly enforce deadlines because those of you that do not have deadlines, it becomes a nightmare trying to get work from people. So what I'm just saying is you either turn it in by this date or you get 50 points knocked off of it immediately. So a late cost will be 50 points. So get this stuff turned in to me on time, or you're going to get 50 points knocked off the top of it. So anyway, that's it for class today. Get these things finished up, get this review sheet turned into me, and I hope that you have a wonderful day. See y'all later on.